So this is the demonstration for making bread. We're going to be doing Tudor bread. They used to eat a lot of bread in those days. It was cheap, easy to get. So the first thing you need to do is you're going to put 250 grams of strong bread white flour into a bowl. You then need about 150 mils of warm water. And what you should be able to do is you should be able to put your finger into the water, and it shouldn't feel hot, it shouldn't feel cold, it should just feel wet. It's something called blood temperature. And the reason it needs to be at temperature is because the yeast is actually going to be alive, and we need to wake it up because at the moment it's asleep. So we need to wake it up, we need to give it warmth. We also need to give it some food, so we're going to give it some sugar as well. So 1 heaped teaspoon into your water, and then 1 teaspoon of sugar goes into there as well. Like I said, we're going to feed that. Into your flour, we're going to put about half a teaspoon of salt. We want to keep the salt and the sugar separate because sometimes the salt can kill the yeast. So we put the salt in with the flour and then the sugar in with the yeast because it's alive. Give that yeast a good stir just to make it all incorporated equally into the water. You will still have a few lumps. That's perfectly normal. That's absolutely fine. Just leave those lumps. That's just the yeast where it's clumped together. And what you need to do with your flour, you're going to make a little well into there. Okay. And you're also going to add into your flour some herbs of your choice. You're going to have a smell of them all, see which herb you think will work well and you fancy trying. So you're just going to put a little sprinkle, about half a teaspoon of herbs in with your bread. And you want to do it now so it gets evenly mixed and starts flavouring that flour from the start. And we're going to slowly add our water into the middle, and we're going to use a knife to mix it because if we use our hands will turn really clumpy and all the dough will stick to our hands rather than in the bowl. So you're going to have a well, you're going to put your water into the middle of that, and then you're going to slowly mix in that flour and water together using your knife. So go all the way around the edges into the middle, incorporating it really well. Keep adding it slowly until you get a nice dough. So you can see it's starting to come together, but there's still quite a lot of flour that's left at the sides and the bottom. So we're going to add that last bit of water, mix again. What we're looking for is that all that flour and water stick together and leave you with an almost clean bowl. Okay. We don't want it to be a wet porridge. And what you want to do is keep chopping it in half and getting that inside, the middle bit, onto the outside. Keep chopping it in half and working it round. There we go. So the dough feels a little bit sticky, but it's not wet. It's not really sticking to my hands very much. That's exactly what we want. We don't want it to be runny like porridge. We want it to just be slightly sticky. And we're then going to put a little bit of oil onto a work surface. Drizzle it on. Use your hands, both hands, rub that in. And we're now going to knead this bread. So kneading is important because bread contains gluten, and those gluten strands need to be stretched out really long. And the way we're going to do that is with our palms of our hands. So this part of the hand isn't used, it's this part here. So when you're kneading, we're stretching out that gluten, and then we're going to fold it back on itself and keep stretching it. So you're going to hold the back with your fingertips with one hand and push with the other hand. Fingertips are then going to come back over, fold it over and turn it round. So pushing it with your palm, fold it over. To start with, it will break apart, but as you do this, as you keep going, it will get stretchier and smoother. If it's really sticky, you can put a little bit of flour from the flour shakers on top, but it will get less sticky as you work it. So keep working it, keep stretching it out with your palm of your hand and kneading it. You're going to do this for about 6 to 8 minutes. So you need to time it because it will give you an arm ache. So the best way to do that is time it, okay? So you'll keep going for 6 to 8 minutes until it's really smooth and elasticy. Once it's been done for 5 minutes, you're then going to cut it into 4. We've got 2 types of bread knives. We've got this one and this one. This one, the red one you use, curves down. Okay, I'm just going to use this metal one. We're going to divide it into 4. So divide it into half, and then each one then into half again. And then we can shape our bread rolls. There's loads of different shapes. You do any shape you want. But some of the popular ones are the knot. So we're going to roll it out a bit like a sausage. And if one end is slightly thinner than the other, keep one hand still and roll out with the other hand. Okay, so roll one out like a sausage. And you want it to be even the whole way across. So like I said, if one outside is a bit skinnier, use that one hand to push it round. And then we're going to simply tie it into a knot. Okay? You want to leave a gap in the middle, so that it's because your bread dough is going to rise. That yeast is going to release carbon dioxide, and it's going to start growing, and it's going to have lots of lovely air bubbles in there. So leave a gap, and then put that one onto your tray. Another popular one is a cottage loaf. So again, get into a bit of a squarey rectangle. You're going to cut 1/3 off, cut the top off. The bottom half we're going to do into a circle. So you're going to get into a circle, and then to get it really smooth, we're going to pull the underneath onto the top. So pulling that underneath all the way round, underneath onto the top. Keep going all the way around, turning it as you go. And then we're going to shape the edges then using this sort of motion. So your hands are banging together underneath. That's going to give you a really beautiful soft circle. You can leave that as a circle if you want to. You could put some cuts on top. But to make it into a cottage loaf, we're going to do the same again with that small top part. Okay. Put it on top, and then we're going to put your finger, so get a bit of oil on your finger, a bit of flour, put your finger all the way through. And that's called a cottage loaf. You can do slices with a knife down there if you want to do that. Another common one that people really like to do is a plait. So get it into a bit of a rectangle, stretch it out, get it nice and even. We're then going to do 2 cuts, so we've got 3 sections. Don't go all the way to the top. You want to leave a little bit joined at the top so it stays together. And then we're simply going to fold the outsides into the middle. So folding the outside, taking it in turns. There we go. And there is a plaited loaf. And then another nice one to do is a snail one that's quite popular. So again, do your sausage, and then you can simply wind it round and join it up. There we go. Once they've been shaped, you can then, we're going to leave them to prove. So that means let the CO2 do its work, let the yeast work, let them rise. They're going to rise for about 15 to 20 minutes, so they've almost doubled in size. And then we're going to glaze them with some milk on top, which will give them a nice shiny surface. Then we're going to cook them for about 15 minutes till they're really golden. And here's some we did earlier. You're looking for a really good, you see they've doubled in size, a beautiful shine on top, really nice golden colour. And you need to turn them over and give them a knock, and they need to sound hollow, like you're knocking on a hollow door. That's how you can tell that they're done. That shows that there's air inside and there's no dense dough that's been stuck in there. So you can see really nice and golden and hollow on the inside.